like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity with Legacy Partners podcast. Hi, my name is Mark Boersman. Today, I'm going to teach you something that, is not brain surgery. It's not rocket science. This is not hard. It's just not. You pick up the phone and you call somebody and you ask them their biggest challenge. Hello, Joe. This is Mark. I was thinking about you the other day, and I was just curious, what's your biggest challenge you're facing in any area of your life? And then you listen. And Joe tells you his biggest challenge, and you say, wow, Joe, that's interesting. Tell me more. And then you listen more. And again, what's happening in your brain right now is, I don't know what's going to happen. Like you start to go ahead and become all dramatic in your brain. And I don't know, what if, and you don't make the call. You have all these questions and questions and questions. It's okay. You remind me of my 7 kids when they were little children. You remind me of my grandchildren now when they're little and they don't want to clean their room. There's a million excuses, a million reasons, and so many questions. Tom Coons, past president of Century 21, largest real estate franchise in the world, over 140,000 sales agents in over 70 different countries. You need to learn how to internalize things. Matter of fact, just pause this right now. Just pause this right now and pick up the phone and call somebody. I don't care who you call. It doesn't matter to me. Just call somebody and ask them their biggest challenge. Just do it, please, right now. Pause, do it. Now, you're probably not going to do what I direct you to do. Why? Because you think you're so smart. Just saying. Not to be mean or harsh to you, okay? I'm just saying, you think you're so smart, you won't listen to me, which is fine. My kids didn't either. And my grandchildren, they don't either as much. So you will be like my children. You will be like my grandchildren. If I equate you to them, it's because you are like them. You don't follow directions. You don't listen. You overthink things. You think you can do things you can't, and you don't think you can do things you can't. For crying out loud, pick up the phone, call anybody. I don't care who it is, and ask them that question. So I was just curious, Sally, I was thinking about you, and what would be the biggest challenge you're facing in any area of your life? And then listen and say, put your hand to your chin and go, that's interesting. Tell me more. And then write this down. And then afterwards, you go, I'm going to give that some thought. And if I come up with any ideas on how, I or somebody might be able to help you, I'll get back to you. Again, don't make this harder than what it is. Tom Coons, he went ahead and walked into one of his offices, one of the 70 different countries, 140,000 different agents, walked into one of the offices, and there was a woman, and she was at a desk, and she picked up the phone, put it to her ear, and she started to dial, and then she hung up. And then she did it again, and she hung up, and did it again, and she hung up, and she did it again, and she hung up. And after a few minutes of this, Tom went over to her and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, what are you doing?" She says, "I'm making sales calls." He says, "But you haven't talked to anybody. You keep hanging up." She's like, "Oh, that's because I don't know the script. It's because I don't understand. Not sure. I'm nervous. I'm this." And so she had all these reasons. You will have reasons too. You will think they're good reasons. They're not. They're just reasons. This is what's holding you back, not just in as a legacy partner, but in a lot of areas of life. We're not that much different as adults and kids, just more proficient at training other people not to push us, to accept our excuses, our reasons, all of our talk. Just do, for crying out loud. Just do. Just do what I tell you to do. Just do it. Just do it. So he says, "Excuse me, just come with me." She's like, "What?" He's like, come with me and bring your script. Come with me and bring your script. She's like all nervous. I mean, this is the president of the worldwide company. He's telling her what to do. She does it. So he comes and he walks downstairs out in the parking lot. And he says, that man over there getting into his car, go over and give him the script. She's like, I can't do that. And she gets all nervous and all dramatic and all. I always love when people do that. Not like, really? My gracious. You'd think somebody was asking you to go into war. It's like, pick up the phone and call somebody and ask their biggest challenge. So finally, if you don't do it, you're fired. So she nervously goes over to the gentleman. He's getting in the car and she said, excuse me, sir. Total stranger. Excuse me, sir. The president of our company said that I had to do this. And he looks at her, and then she pulls up her little piece of paper and she reads him the script. The total stranger starts laughing. Tom doesn't know him. The woman doesn't know her. He starts laughing. He said, that is the most unusual thing I've ever seen. You know what? I might have somebody actually that might be interested in buying a home. And she got that referral, and then she got a bunch of others by reading a script in the parking lot. Now, this story, is it going to motivate you? Is it going to inspire you? It's a real story. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Sometimes people say, I want to own my own company. And it's like, if you can't, go ahead and pick up the phone right now, put this on pause, pick up the phone right now and ask somebody their biggest challenge. I'm just telling you, you're either not going to be successful, get a real job. Just get a real job, work for somebody else the rest of your life. Just do that. Or it's going to take you forever. It'll take just crazy. So another story, a real story, Teresa Lecken, she was an EVA. And so she got contracted to make calls, and part of her training, she didn't get paid for this. Part of her training to become an EVA was to go ahead and have, 3 seconds of courage. So it's 3 seconds of courage. And so one of the assignments she had to do that she didn't get paid for, she had to go to some place, public place. She chose a grocery store, and she stood outside the grocery store, and as total strangers were walking by, she had to go ahead and say, excuse me, ma'am, I'm, starting my own company. One of the assignments they've given me, the coaching company's given me, is that I have to ask total strangers what their biggest challenge is. Can I do that with you today? She was terrified, absolutely terrified. She didn't want to do it. I mean, she was terrified. She did it. So when we overcome our fear of strangers, now I'm not saying your biggest challenge is you got to go to strangers. Talk to family members, for crying out loud. Talk to somebody, your friends or your neighbors, somebody you know. Just ask the question. Don't worry about anything else. Ask the question, what's your biggest challenge? Listen, and then say, that's interesting. Tell me what? Tell me more. That's what you do. When you do that, then you gain confidence where you can go to a stranger. When you go to a stranger, you've overcome fear. You have 5 seconds of courage. You just have it. So I mean, I don't know. I guess watch this tape watch this podcast every day, 2-3 times a day. I mean, why go ahead and actually go out there and take some real action that's going to put money in your pocket? Why don't you just study? Just watch podcast after podcast after podcast after podcast. Come back to me, come back to Elaine, come back to whoever your mentor is. Explain why your life is so hard. You can't go ahead and pick up the phone and be concerned about somebody and ask them their biggest challenge. Just explain it all to me. Just go through everything. So hopefully this has been helpful. I'm telling you, just do it. The first time you do it, it'll be terrifying. But then the second time you do it, so I have a fear of heights. I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. Most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. My son Jonathan, he wanted to do it. I was terrified. I was so afraid. I mean, I have never had such fear like that before. I mean, they open up the door in the airplane. I'm jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, and I'm gonna fall. You know, I don't know what it was, 6,000 feet. Like all kinds of fear. I did that. As soon as I jumped out of the plane and started falling, all of a sudden everything changed. I had somebody on my back, an instructor, so he and I were tethered together, and so we're falling, and all of a sudden the coolness, and I'm falling. I don't know how many hundreds of miles an hour I'm falling. I'm falling, and he's tapping me, but I didn't notice it. He's tapping me on my right leg, saying I should pull the chute. I am enjoying it. I feel like I'm in heaven. Like there was no fear, none. Like it was like, wow, this is freedom. This is so amazing. I cannot believe how cool this is. When he got down and he had his little check card, he said, suggestion, pull the chute, Mark. I don't like heights. I don't even like getting up on a ladder. My other son, Ben, and I went zip lining. It was insane. Again, height. I'm like, why would I do these things? Because my kids enjoy them. I overcome fear. It does something to the brain, literally, where we do things that are fearful, and then it's not so bad, and we liberate. The first time I went down, they told, let go of the, you know, the rope that's holding you, the cable that's holding you onto the cable. I'm like, I'm not letting go of this. The first time I didn't. The second time I had one arm free. Third time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to release both my arms. And then they say, go ahead and lift, like lean back and lift your legs up. So you're flying down this thing upside down with your legs above. My leg got caught, my foot got caught on the cable. I'm terrified. I hear yelling, get your foot, because I'm going to run in. I'm going to hit the deck upside down. I'm going to die. It was so much fun. I don't like heights. So again, I'm just telling you, when you do that, there's so much fear in our lives. When we overcome the fear of strangers, we overcome the fear of asking somebody, we're not selling them anything. We're seeking to understand, to connect. When you learn how much people enjoy connecting and how people are really inherently nice and interesting, when we learn that, it changes our life. It changes our outlook. It'll change relationship. It'll change everything in our brain. So hopefully this has been motivational. Hopefully you've stopped the video or stopped the podcast 2-3 times. You have 3 biggest challenges. Figure out how to do it. Just do it. Just do it. And it'll be amazing what will happen. Hopefully this has been helpful. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.